So I was trying to make this video. Figured I'd get high first, and now I think I might be too high, but I think it's perfect for the video. So I was watching a video from your mate Tom, right? It was about the DMT jesters, or like some people call them the tricksters. But I left a comment on his video, and my comment made me think, well, I should make a video about that, right? Because I haven't talked about DMT in a while because I haven't done DMT in a while. Um, Over the past since 2020, I've been exploring more with LSD, which LSD helped me organize my mind better. Like it's more of a mind thing, where DMT is more of a from point A to point B thing. Like it's like you can go somewhere, you can leave your body, you can meet and speak to these entities. And one of the types of entities that a lot of people see on DMT are the jesters, okay? The jester entities, some people call them the tricksters. I've never looked at them like tricksters. I understand why people do, but that's just I've never thought that when I seen them. Because the first time I seen them was 2015. Okay, so this was a time where I couldn't just really look up on YouTube the DMT jesters. Yeah, I could look up videos about DMT, and I would hear Terrence McKenna talk about the entities and the self-transforming elf machines and the like, but you couldn't really find much about the jesters. So I went in and I'd seen these things, and the first thought that came to my mind is they remind me of, or at least this one jester I met reminded me of the ringleader of a circus. Okay, he had the vibe of a ringleader of a circus, but also somehow the vibe of a clown, but also more like the vibe of the who was I can't fucking remember the name, but you remember back when kings and queens, right? And they had that person. I don't know if they called him the fool or the jester or the whatever. It was the guy that's supposed to make them laugh type shit. It's like if you took all of those archetypes and you slammed them together, it would create the DMT jester archetype, right? But if you break it down to archetypes, because I'm talking about seeing the actual entity. I'm a human being entity. I'm a human being, right? And you are seeing an entity on the screen right now, okay? And I'm talking to you. The DMT jesters, it was very similar. Where except it's not through a screen. I'm in my DMT trip, and then I see this jester, okay? And he reminds me of a ringleader of a circus. He's on some tricycle-like thing going around this room, okay? In this room, the walls are made of the DMT fabric. I don't know how to explain it, but the walls are made out of this geometrical fabric, okay? And he's going around. It's like I'm in the middle of the room. He's going around the room, and he's just singing Uma Jata Ama Uma Jata Ama Uma. It's the light language, and as he's singing this, he's going around, and this portal thing was opening up on the floor, right? Okay, but so he was a jester entity. But as he was doing this, this was at a time. This was 2016. This was at a time where I stopped making music. Okay, so at this point, I haven't made music in a long time. I used to rap, but I also would make digital electronic music with FL Studios. So as I'm in this experience and this gesture's going around, I'm sitting there kind of confused. But then I got the jits that he wants me to do what he's doing. So then I start singing the same thing with him and going around. I started doing it with him. And it's funny because I'm out of my body at this point. I'm in DMT space. So as I say I'm moving around, it did feel like I could move, like, and it felt like I was dancing, like, like kind of like bouncing, and as I was moving around the thing with him, but he was still on his tricycle thing. Now, that gesture is what made me get back into making music. That experience. That experience, because it's like in that experience so much more happened than just that, but like obviously it's so hard to bring back all the information out of a DMT trip. But in that experience, it's like I could hear music being like he was somehow singing Uma Jata Ama, and this geometrical thing was being like created in the room, and it was like I was doing a duet with him, and we was doing this, and it was creating like the sound, the words, the whatever were becoming visual geometric objects or patterns or shapes that came together so perfectly and flowed and started moving together so perfectly, like each different sound. And when he would somehow also be able to add sound from somewhere else, like it's all of a sudden I can hear like imagine it's like a violin, but it's way more pure and more crisp and more godlike than just a violin. Like I would hear a sound, maybe it sounds like a trumpet, but it's not a trumpet because it's much better than a trumpet. The frequencies, the sound, it's just much better than a trumpet. Sounds like a violin, but it's much better than a violin. It's beyond what a violin can do. And as I'm all these sounds and things are coming together, as I'm still singing this thing with him, it was like we were creating a song, right? And when I seen the thing, as it was happening, I got to realize, like, oh my God, I'm making music. And then, like, it's like the entities don't always speak to you in English. Sometimes they do. A lot of times it's just like telepathically speaking to you. So like getting downloads of information of this thing. So I was getting downloads of like I need to honor myself, and I'm not honoring myself because a big part of myself is I love to make music. And it's not about and in that experience I was reminded that it's not about whether other people hear the music, because in that room it was just me and that jester. That's it. We are the only ones that seen and heard that. We're the only ones that were in that experience. So, meaning I've heard a song that no one else has ever heard and no one else will ever hear. But that does not mean that we should never have made the song. Like, in the human world, something I've learned from the Jesters is humans take things so seriously. Because, like, in the human world, it's like, why make music if no one's ever going to hear it? Like, no one really makes music unless they have intentions to put it out. And if you tell someone, I make music and I've never put any music out, they look at you like a failure, right? But that's a human problem. Because the point of making music is not for others to like it. It's to express your soul. It's to express that moment. Like, in that moment, me and this entity singing this thing, going around the thing, like, I think I have a trip report about this experience. But the trip report was so long ago, and, like, there's so much information missing from that trip report because, like, so much more went on that I could fully grasp. And it's like, it's funny that years after a DMT trip, you can start be like, oh yeah, this happened after that thing. And like you almost forget, but then you can be reminded years later. So like, I was reminded when I seen that video by your mate Tom, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was reminded of like all the experiences I've had with the Jesters, because I do this thing with my videos where like I used to just smoke DMT and then try to record a video about it, because I wanted to get the knowledge out of my head. So, like, I wanted to be like, I've smoked the DMT, gain the knowledge from that trip, from that experience, record a video about that experience. Then it's like I erase the trip from my head and move on to the next experience. Because I noticed that when I was compounding DMT experiences one after another, it's like you can have like an overload in your head, just too much information, too much whatever. Some people would say, "Oh, just stop tripping, then you'll be fine," like. But no, I was on a journey for something, so I knew that I had to figure out how to do whatever the fuck I want to do. So therefore, I figured out, oh, I just make a video about it and then move on. Let go of the experience as soon as I make a video about it. But when I watched that video from your mate Tom, it punched me in the head and was like, oh yeah, I've had a lot of experiences with DMT jesters. I've learned a lot from them. And this is why I've never called them tricksters. And maybe because when I usually, like, it took a lot of practice to get to this point. So it's not like I smoked DMT my first 10 times and I was like doing this, but like, it's just, when I smoke DMT, I like to let go of my human concepts. I like to leave them at the DMT gate, right? Like, leave the human concepts there. Leave your ideas of demons and angels. Oh shit, dropping shit. I'm just gonna whatever. But just leave your ideas of all of these, like the baggage. Leave the baggage on Earth. Because when I see a DMT entity, I'm not thinking about, oh, what if that's an angel or a demon? What if it's good or bad? What if it's trying to trick me? What if it's lying? What if it's trying to distract me? What if thoughts? Stop thinking. Because when in DMT space, the thinking is the speaking. So like, I would talk to these DMT entities, right? And I would just, whatever. But I'm never speaking out loud. I'm speaking in my mind. And this is why I had to learn and like do many practices of how to silence my mind. Because DMT is so intense that I noticed that it's like, okay, the trips where I have a calm mind, I can pull more out of it. Because I can actually listen to what the entities are trying to say instead of assume what they're trying to do. They can just tell me, show me, let me experience it. Like in that moment where I'm just singing with the jester and like, how many people would have done that with the jester? Like, because they would have just immediately seen the jester, assumed, made assumptions about it, and then, like, before they even got to know it. That's something I've noticed that is so fucking strange about DMT. Bro, I could build a real relationship with these entities. Like, it's not just fucking words. Like, and I feel like everyone's, like, I say these words that, like, oh, I built a relationship with Mother Ayahuasca. I built a relationship with these, and, like, it's going over everyone's head because I'm so fucking serious. I built a relationship with these things just like I built a relationship with my human friends. Or just like I built a relationship with my daughter. Or, or just like I built a relationship with my mother. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's so real to me that this is why I wanted to make a video about this. Because as I was listening to your mate Tom, and like, shout out to him, it's no shade, because I respect anyone who's like spreading the knowledge, right? Like for real. But it's just from my personal experiences where that's just not the only jester I've met, right? I've met many different jesters, and they all seem to have, see, I want to say personality, but I don't know if that's the word, but they all seem to have their own personality or their own thing. Like, they are their own person, or they are their own entity. Like, you have two jesters next to each other. They're not exactly the same. It's very similar to if you have two black people next to each other that look very similar, they're not the same. You have two Asian people next to each other that look very similar, they're not the same. You have two jesters next to each other that look very similar, they're not the same. So you also, like, it's like you have to be cautious. This is why in DMT space, when I was smoking DMT, like, I was doing it shamanically, and I came up with many different techniques to help guide me through the experience. So like I say, I created this thing called the love bubble, where it's like your state of consciousness, your emotions, how you feel, how you think about yourself, if you have self-love, all of this shit matters when you're in DMT space. All of it matters. Who are you? That matters. Because it's not like people think they're just doing a drug, and that's the fucking problem. No, you're giving yourself access to the spirit world, which in that world, right, there's things that can help you. Just like in this world, there's things that can help you, right? Like, I said it in a video a while ago, that if you're a happy, positive, uplifted person, right, negative people are not going to want to be around you. So, like, you're going to repel negative people. Negative people are going to hate you for being happy, right? For being at peace. Like, it's envy. It's this thing, but it makes it so they don't want to be around you. You know, they just want to talk shit about you or whatever the fuck. But, like, that's real in DMT space as well. So, if you're a negative person, you will most likely attract more negative-like entities. Like, and I'm not saying, like, demons, like, because this is where the jesters kind of laugh at us, because it's just funny. Because we look at it like demons, but when let's say some evil human being, right? Evil's a weird word, but I mean, like, someone that's just negative as fuck. Like, negative is all hell. Just such a negative person. You know, they carry this dark energy with them, right? If that person smokes DMT, those entities might look at that person like a demon if they believed in the word demon, right? Like, it's the human concepts that then create fear because we don't understand what we're seeing. And now, even though I don't understand what I'm seeing with the DMT entities, I treat it just like I did when I was a child. When you were a child, you didn't understand what you were seeing either. Like, here on Earth, when you were a child, you didn't understand what you were seeing. You were just in the human experience. You weren't thinking about it. You weren't over-analyzing it. You weren't feared with, like, oh my God, I gotta be careful because that's a demon. No, because before you were a child, like when you were a child, you had to be taught what the word demon meant. So before you knew what that word was, you wouldn't have thought, oh my God, that's a demon. That's what I mean by human concepts, and leave them at the door. Like, there are ideas that we learn in the human world that kind of prevent us from truly experiencing the other world. So with the DMT jesters, right, I only never looked at them like, I understand why people call them tricksters, because they have like a trickster vibe. But like some people say they have like a childlike vibe. But I say the childlike vibe is just what we actually are. You know how, like, in the human world, we have this thing where we think we're grown, right? Like, I'm 30, okay? I'm 30 years old. I could be like, yeah, I'm a grown man. I'm grown. But what does that mean? So, like, from my perspective, looking at the DMT entities and looking at just humans, grown in the human world means a traumatized adult. And what I mean is, if you remove human trauma or you heal your human trauma, you will be perceived by the world as being more childlike. Like, because there's a pureness, there's an innocence in pureness. There's an innocence or a pureness in the soul. There's a playfulness in the soul. There's a playfulness you have when you're not traumatized and scared of life, right? You're more playful. You're more your perspective is different. Like the way you look at the world is different. It's like a journey, it's excitement, it's fun, like I don't know how to explain it, but the mature in the human mind means traumatized and serious and like that's and to the DMT entities that's kind of funny, or at least to the jesters that's kind of funny, because it's funny that we call the jesters childlike, but then but that's only because we are so serious and traumatized by the pain and the suffering and the this and the that, and it's like we can use the pain because it's just energy. Everything is just energy. We are beings of energy. So, like, it's these things where I've learned from the DMT jesters entities. Now, the jesters, I've just learned not to take things seriously. I learned from the jesters that I don't have to do what other humans are doing, so I don't have to follow what society tells me to do. I don't have to do a fucking thing besides what I fucking feel like I want to do. Like, it's that thing. I learned that from the jesters. That, like, you don't have to do what every other human is doing. You don't have to do what society does. You don't have to do what every other black person does because you're black. You don't have to, like, and you can have more fun in life. That's why I take it so serious about enjoying the journey. That I don't care if I ever make it, bro. I have made it because I've had the time of my fucking life growing into the man I want to be. Working on becoming my greatest version. And I use these words like I'm working on becoming my greatest version, but I'm not working at all. I'm having fun. I'm living life. I'm enjoying the journey because I understand that that's kind of what it's about. It's about making sure that, like, yeah, you're going towards something great. That's great. But, like, if you got that thing that was great, but you were miserable the whole time, you fucking lost. So, like, I don't know. It's just, I've learned that from the jesters. But, like, from the DMT entities, like, well, I guess the jesters too, but the entities in general, how they sing objects into creation and how language is visible and how whatever, that truly helped solidify the idea of thoughts create reality, like on a legitimate, real level. But, like, in the human world, we can't see it. But we can. Our version of seeing it is speaking, then visualizing, imagining, and then imagining what's the first step, and then taking that first step, and then taking the second step, and then you can manifest and create something with your mind. People forget that everything is mind. Like, like, that's just something I've learned from the DMT entities. That everything is made of mind. That even the physical reality is made of sound of some sort. The visuals that I was seeing in DMT space, where I'm singing objects into creation, those things are made of sound of some sort. So, like, there's a connection between these things that it's all just sound. It's all just, energy, frequency, and vibration. That's all it is. So, what they can do, we can do. Except here we have different laws of physics. So, like, what we can do here, it's a different way of getting there, but it still can be done. That the mind can affect reality. Like, I had the idea of becoming who I am today 10 years ago. 10 years ago. But I had to walk every single step for 10 years in order to make it real. But, like, the physical reality is like in the mind of God, in a sense, where it's like everything is in the mind, so everything can be affected by the mind. So this is why when you smoke DMT, or when you are trying to build a dream, or you're trying to chase your dreams, or you're trying to build a business, or you're trying to build a YouTube channel, you're trying to get in shape, you're trying to build your mind, you're trying to heal your mental health, like, all of this requires your attention. That's another thing I learned from DMT. Terrence McKenna would talk about, you have to pay attention. Like, don't give way to astonishment. Meaning, when you smoke DMT, you're gonna get hit with all these colors and shapes and all this other shit. You have to learn how to control your mind so you're not there doing, oh my god, look at these crazy colors, the shapes, oh my god, this can't be real, holy fuck. Like, you have to learn how to settle yourself down, calm your mind while you're going through this experience, center yourself. And, like, basically, we have to learn the mind. But learning the mind will help you interact better with the entities, interact better with the DMT experience in general. Like, where it's not just some thing where people are like, oh, that was so crazy, bro. Like, even people are talking about they see entities. But it's like, well, what did you learn from those entities? Probably nothing, because in order to learn from them, you have to shut up in your head. You just have to shut up. Even if it's for 5 seconds. If you could just shut your head, like in your head, if you could just shut the voice off for 5 seconds, you have no idea how much time that is inside of DMT space, right? That's enough time to possibly get, maybe, a conversation in with an entity, or like enough back and forth, maybe a good download, maybe a good whatever, right? But if you can practice it and learn how to silence the mind for 10 seconds or for 20 seconds, right? Like, but these are things that I took so seriously because I'm on a real shamanic journey. So I really put the work in to learn how to meditate, to learn how to silence my mind, to learn how to do breath work, to learn how to communicate with the entities, to learn how to, like, all of these things, because to me, it just became life to me. So life became this thing where I'm a human being, or I'm a soul that's in a human body, and then I was working a job, I was working at this pizza place for 4 years, like when I was mainly smoking the DMT, and then, I would smoke the DMT and I'd go into this other world, and it literally felt like I was living a double life. Like I was living a double, like literally, like one in this dimension, one in the next. And like I was just I was balancing it, and I was doing a horrible job at balancing it. So like, but I'm grateful for those experiences because they helped me become the man I am today, right? And I'm grateful for the entities that I've built a relationship with, a friendship with, and because like I trust them. That's the thing I want to leave this video on. I don't trust every entity, but I trust every entity I have interacted with. Like, because I create the love bubble, when I go into DMT space, this like energy force field in a sense, the negative entities don't want anything to do with me. Like, I could try to go to them, but I'm just gonna try to love them, right? Like, that's what I'm gonna try to do. Like, they're gonna be like dark entities or whatever. I'm just like, bro, I love you. Like, come here, give me a hug. Like, damn, like I fucking love you. Do you understand you're loved? Like, because that's just how I am in DM. I'm a little bit of a joker, or you could call it like a jester or whatever. I have that vibe sometimes when I'm in DMT space, because it's like if I see a negative entity, I look at it like, bro, just come on, give me some love. Like don't be scared. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like I've learned to have fun with it, because it's like, damn. Like, if that's what life is, or if that's what death is, or if that's what the fuck, then just like if this is what life is, I'm gonna learn to have fun with it. Other humans say, oh, life is hell. This shit is bullshit. But I guarantee I've lived a harder life than you. Well, for most people, right? In the modern American world, right? I can't speak for, like, outside of America, but it's been kind of rough. But it's been fun and exciting and amazing as fuck, right? Like, I've enjoyed it so much, and I'm so grateful that I was able to have this human experience. Just like I'm so grateful that I was able to have those DMT experiences, and I was able to experience what it was like to, like, be, I guess, a light being, and singing objects into creation, and meeting these entities, and doing this thing. But I don't know. I guess, like, I'm just gonna end the video, because I'm just gonna ramble on forever. But, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, DMT is not just a psychedelic drug. It gives you access to the spirit world. Like, for real. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe in the spirit world. You don't have to believe in anything. I'm just telling you what my experience has been.